Welcome back to another video. This one's a little bit different. I'm usually out peg hunting, looking for the super treasure hunts and treasure hunts. But this weekend I decided that I'm just gonna show you how to identify supers, what are super treasure hunts, and what are treasure hunts, and how to find them. This is a video I made a while ago, and I didn't do the best of job explaining it. I just kind of went over the history of them. So I'm going to take another shot at this. Hopefully this one goes a little bit better. Let's get started, shall we? And this isn't going to be too difficult. So I'm going to start out by explaining basic treasure hunts. Treasure hunts started in 1995 and have been going strong ever since. Basically, all you got to look for with a regular treasure hunt is the Circle Flame logo, which is right there on the car, or on the bottom of the base, which is right there. With treasure hunts, there is usually one per case, and they pick one random model in each assortment, and there's usually one model in each case that you have to look for. Usually that will be disclosed in other videos with channels that get cases early, such as the Ministry of Diecast. And here's another example. Sometimes they hide these Circle Flame logos very well, and as you can see on this one, the Circle Flame just happens to be right where my finger is. As well as, of course, the Circle Flame logo behind the car. And that's pretty easy for basic treasure hunts. And now when it comes to super treasure hunts, sometimes super treasure hunts can be a little bit more tricky. As obvious as this is going to sound, how to identify as a super treasure hunt is rubber tires, such as on this Toyota, Spectraflame paint, which is usually a shinier and darker paint compared to the regular counterpart, and usually there's going to be a TH somewhere on the car, right there. It happens to be above the left wheel well. And the same deal with treasure hunts. There's usually one model picked every case. However, with treasure hunts, with super treasure hunts, it's less likely to find the super treasure hunt than it is a treasure hunt. And they will have these regular counterparts that don't have any special meaning behind them. And they'll usually look very plain and regular, like this Toyota truck. However, in the early days, they also used to put extra decals on the super treasure hunt. This is a very rare occurrence nowadays and never happens anymore. Compared to this regular, you can see that the decals aren't on it. But that's something you don't really got to worry about anymore. I think the last time that happened was the Civic Type R super treasure hunt, which I do have up here. And the main difference between this and the regular obviously is the paint, the rubber tires, and that TH logo. But also, this one had the roof decals, which the regular didn't. Another important feature with super treasure hunts is if it is a super treasure hunt that's a bit more difficult to tell, all you gotta do is flip the car over, and you see that Circle Flame logo, very similar to the actual Hot Wheels logo, but it's in gold. And that's another way to indicate, in most cases, that you found a super treasure hunt. Sometimes there's a packaging error, but 99.999% of the time, you get the point. The super treasure hunt will have that Circle Flame logo behind the card. But most super treasure hunts, such as this one with the Datsun 510, is very obvious. You can even see the difference in the card art between the regular Datsun, which is on the right, and the super treasure hunt, which is on the left. That's going to do it though for identifying the modern super treasure hunt and the modern treasure hunt. This wasn't always the case. I am going to teach you the ways to identify older treasure hunts and older supers as well. Real quick. I'm going to start out with older supers. Super treasure hunts did not begin until 2007. This is a common mistake I see. A lot of people call older treasure hunts with rubber tires from like 2003 super treasure hunts. But this was way before super treasure hunts even existed. Super treasure hunts have been around since 2007. And up until 2011, they had a green stripe along the side. And that said treasure hunts, but it has a dollar sign here. And I have another one which is slightly different. But all super treasure hunts from like 2007 to 2010 had this green stripe along the side of it. And it always says treasure hunt or treasure hunts somewhere along the car. And with super treasure hunts up until I think 2011, it will always have treasure hunts with a dollar sign for the S's. And I'm pretty sure that on the bottom of the card it said treasure hunts for 2011, if I'm not mistaken. But with super treasure hunts, it's basically the same. Spectraflame paint and rubber tires. They didn't have the TH for them back then that you see now. That's very recognizable. Now I'm going to teach you how to identify older treasure hunts. Older treasure hunts before 2007 were the exact same way as super treasure hunts. They had a green stripe somewhere on the card saying treasure hunts. This one's a 1996 treasure hunt, the Dodge Viper. And by reading that, it makes it very obvious that it's a treasure hunt. It says the treasure hunt series. And they used to put the number in the top right corner, 25,000 produced worldwide. They don't know the exact number of how many are produced now. However, it's in the ballpark of hundreds of thousands. And that's just an example with a horizontal stripe going along the card. They would eventually switch over to the vertical stripe. And here it's very obvious. You see the treasure chest for the treasure hunt. And it will always say T-Hunt. So not every car back in the 90s and 2000s was a treasure hunt because it had a green stripe. It will always say on that green stripe if it's a treasure hunt or not. And treasure hunts from 1995 and even the regular treasure hunts from 2007 up until 2012 had this green stripe. And now I think I've kind of covered everything about like what a treasure hunt is and how to identify them. Now I want to teach you guys a few tips on how to maybe find these cars. Now with treasure hunts, it's very easy if you just hit the drops freshly. Now how do you hit these drops freshly is check consistently as you can at the stores that you know carry Hot Wheels. Check every store consistently, learn the patterns of when stores drop, and if you see not very much on the pegs, it is okay to ask employees if you can see if you have any stock in the back. And if they don't, that's okay, move on, keep checking. And that's how you may be able to go through cases or get to the drops first, by just checking consistently. And treasure hunts, as I said, are very common. Now super treasure hunts are way less common, as mentioned. It's not really known how many, like the odds of pulling a super treasure hunt are. I've heard about 1 in 10 cases has a super, but I'm not 100% certain and I cannot really confirm that. By checking these stores consistently, then you should have a fairly good chance at finding super treasure hunts and treasure hunts, unless if you're in Canada like me and get international cases. But I hope this video helped you out enough. If you have any more questions on identifying treasure hunts or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, or email me at superbirddiecast@gmail.com, or go to my Instagram and DM me. All of the ways to contact me will be in the description below. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Happy hunting and stay safe.